Please welcome the CEO of GitHub, Nat Friedman.
All right. Good morning. Welcome to GitHub Universe. It is so fantastic to be here with all of you today in beautiful San Francisco. I want to welcome all the developers who come to GitHub Universe from all over the world, including our enterprise customers, the students who are attending, and the GitHub campus experts. If you're out there, I can see some of you from here. Shout out to you. Thanks for coming, and to our partners as well. And I want to extend a special welcome to all the open source contributors and maintainers for all the work that you do. Let's give these folks a big round of applause. We owe them a lot. All right. Well, it's an exciting time to be together because 2019 has been an incredible year for the GitHub community. In fact, now there are over 40 million developers using GitHub to build software. 40 million. And more developers are choosing GitHub every day than ever before. Just in the last year, over 10 million new developers joined GitHub and started contributing to projects on GitHub. We also have more enterprise teams using GitHub than ever before, with more than 3 million organizations using GitHub, including more than half of the Fortune 100. And these developers are all incredibly busy. Every day, developers around the world make millions of contributions to projects on GitHub. And you can see them here. This is a visualization that we created of 30 days of contributions to GitHub.com. And on this globe, each little pulse of light, each dot, represents a separate contribution to open source made by one person somewhere on Earth. It's kind of an amazing thing to look at and think about, because there's all these people from all around the world, different locations, with different backgrounds, who come together to solve problems together. And maybe in many cases, the only thing that they have in common is that they all want to solve the same problem. They do it together in public. And so the work of all these people is the reason we're all here today. We owe a lot to that. In fact, today, 99% of all new software projects have open source dependencies. So whether you're working at a big company or in a startup, or if you're a scientist or a researcher or a student, you rely on open source, and you rely on the people who build it all around the world, strangers that you don't know. Every line of code that you write is actually built on the work of these thousands of other people. And so you can kind of think about it this way. When you import a new open source library into your source code, you're not just adding code to your project. In a way, you're actually extending your team, right? Each time you type import, you invite a whole new group of developers to your team, and you actually give them commit access to your production. In a way, you give them access to what you're doing, thousands of strangers. But when we think about software development these days, we still have this image, this stereotype of the solitary developer, right? Alone, in a dark room, probably introverted, them in the code, them in the screen. You sort of slide pizza under the door and code comes out, gets uploaded to the cloud. But in reality, software development is deeply collaborative. We all rely on this giant global team of developers to do our work. In a way, it's the world's biggest team sport. We're all a part of this interconnected community. And this collaborative model is actually better, right? Because it doesn't matter how big your company is, how many developers you employ, no single company can outcompete the millions of open source developers out there working in public. And so we all have to work together. And that's why we can say today that open source has won. We should just take a moment to recognize this, where we are, this world we've created. Over the last 25 years, open source has gone from this academic, almost fringe activity to powering the infrastructure of modern civilization. If you told someone 20 years ago that by 2020, the dominant paradigm for software development would be strangers volunteering for free online, and that everyone would just download their code and put it in almost every product, like, they'd say, you're crazy. That's not going to happen. Software is written by big professional companies. But that's the world we're in now. Every time you pull your phone out of your pocket to use an app or visit a website, or in many cases, just if you have a Nissan or a GM or many other cars, start your car, open source is part of making that happen. And so this is the world we built, and it's our responsibility to take care of it because it's only going to get bigger. In fact, Running our numbers, we predict that by 2025, there will be over 100 million developers on GitHub. And the complexity of these ecosystems scales with Metcalfe's law, so it's going to be a big, crazy world. We have to build the systems, the processes, the norms now to support all of that. And so today, at this conference, we're going to talk about the work we're doing at GitHub in 3 areas. We're going to talk about how GitHub helps developers take their work all the way to production, from code to cloud, about the work that we're doing on the core experience of writing code and collaborating on GitHub, and we're going to talk about the investments we're making in the continued success and prosperity of the open source community. Tomorrow morning, we had a little too much to fit into today's keynote, but tomorrow morning we're going to be talking about the work we're doing to secure software development, the open source supply chain. How can we make GitHub not just the best place to produce open source code, but the safest place to consume it? And I think you're going to really find that talk interesting, so don't miss it. And you'll also get to hear from a number of our partners.